Hi everyone. I've had a bunch of questions about the exploration topic, so I'm just going to do a brief video that should help you with that. You don't have one due until next week, but I know some of you are already working ahead of time on that. Just to give you a quick idea, when I open up the next week's topic on Thursday of this week, you're going to see your exploration is going to be due right there. I've given you an example as well of a student who did an interview in the past. Again, he's graciously shared this video with all of you, and then you'll have your quiz as well, including all of your information up here. One other thing that I've seen that's a question from one of the other HUM sections was where's the reading at? The reading is actually in the large textbook. Right here. The reading is always in this textbook unless I say otherwise. The otherwise will be, it'll either say growing up in the South or it'll say GUITS. So you'll see that throughout the rest of the semester. Again, the next section is right there, or the section after that is right there. That's where I start abbreviating it. And by the way, if you're very clever, you can actually pause the video and you'll have your reading ahead of time. So there's all that. That addresses those things, but let's go back to the exploration. Up here at the very top, again, here are your explorations. So when you click on this, you have all of these questions, and you need to use 1 or 2 questions per time. Now, I've also come up with this to sort of help you, and let me just make sure this is large size right there. Okay. So here's my advice for your explorations. And about the first 100 to 150 words of your exploration, just summarize it. Now, when you do this, you're going to start with the question. So where do you believe the South is? Where do you believe it happens to be? What is Southern food to you? You might start with these sorts of questions, but then you need to dig. I mean, if the person responds with, well, I think that Southern food would be grits, you might ask them a follow-up question. Well, what kind of grits? Where do you find good grits? What do you think are the best grits? And they would then sometimes usually respond with, well, my great-grandmother made really good grits, or I really like the grits that I find at breakfast time or something like that, or I really like the grits that I had in downtown Atlanta or downtown New Orleans or something like that, or grits have to have shrimp in them, something. They'll usually open up and ask you or give you additional information. If they don't panic. Try a different question. Sometimes people will, and all the responses I've seen over the years, I've seen people say, well, I try to ask them about food and they didn't respond, and then I ask them what it means to be a man, and they had a lot to say. So shift gears. If you don't get a good response in the first 1 or 2 questions, shift gears. Try a different question, and then so just again summarize that in 100 to 250 words. I asked them a question, they didn't respond. I asked them a different question, they started to respond to that one. We sat on the porch and looked out over the landscape, or I was at work. And I just asked customers when they came in. I have had students before say something like, I was really curious about the what does it mean to be a man in the South after the gender stuff that we went through. So I asked, the 25 people that came into the gas station that I work at, and they all gave me different answers, and it was some really thought-provoking stuff. After that, analyze the interview. How does the interview connect to the course content? So you're not just telling me about the interview, you're also going to tell me about how that connects to the course content. So you might say, again, going back to the grits thing, that this person responded and said they had really good grits in downtown Atlanta. And that's not what I expected, because based on our studies, grits were a big staple of people's diet in the mountains. And Atlanta is not exactly considered to be in the mountains. So this is not what I expected. Or they said they had really great grits in downtown New Orleans. And that's not what you would expect either, except grits have become a part of their diet in this largely French-influenced area. So you would say all that, and then you would say, this connects with our studies because we talked about how grits were a staple of the Scots-Irish, and the Scots-Irish lived in the mountains. That's why I would have expected a different answer and not downtown Atlanta. Or the French have become, the French of Louisiana and New Orleans have become a part of the South. So the South is not traditionally thought of as New Orleans. However, in this particular case, it is. So you're analyzing it. Basically, I'm just looking for you to connect that course content and to the interview. So as you go through the course, you'll have more and more connections you can potentially make. Early on, you might just say, grits are a material piece of culture, and how you prepare the grits is considered maybe non-material, because that's the recipe. And then you can respond in any remaining space that you have. You might say, I listened to the interview and I disagreed in my head, but I didn't want to say that because I didn't want to argue with the person. But I do disagree. I don't think that good grits can come from downtown Atlanta. I think that the best grits are at, Amelie's Bakery in downtown Charlotte or something to that effect. And by the way, I don't think Amelie's actually has grits, but you get the idea. Okay, you can respond in your own voice, but I want you to put the majority of the exploration on the interview itself and analyzing and connecting the interview to the course content. Okay. Again, I've received a bunch of questions about this. I think that you guys I like the fact that you're doing it and that you're really engaging with it. I think in some cases, and I've had a bunch of emails about this, in some cases maybe you guys are overanalyzing it a lot, because I think, again, just try a couple different questions until you find something that they'll respond to, and then just connect it to the course content and then respond to it a bit. That's what I'm looking for. It gets you to have a conversation, which is what I want you to do. I want you to get outside of your own notions about the South. To sort of finish this up, by the way, very quickly, I would ask outside of your demographic. Try not to ask people that you're really close to, because you probably already know their opinion, and their opinion is probably very close to your own. Respectfully try other students. If you're a young person, try an older person. If you're an older person, try a younger person. Don't argue with them. If they say something that you completely disagree with, just listen. You're a cultural explorer. That means that your job is to listen and to learn. Even if you're thinking in your head, no, this is wrong, or this contradicts everything I've ever thought. Fine. Listen, record, analyze. Does it connect to the course content in some way? Okay, because you're going to learn more that way than just saying, oh, okay. In my case, for example, if I ask my wife these questions, I know fairly well what she would say in all of those cases, so I wouldn't learn anything. But if I ask somebody that's vastly different than I am these questions, I'm going to learn a lot more from that person. Okay? If you guys have any questions, I'm going to post this video as an email message. Feel free to reach out to me. You can call me. I'm in my office throughout most of the day. You can email me however you need to. Okay? And watch out for the snow out there. Make sure you get your milk and bread, because that's what we do in the South. All right, have a great day.